Welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Woo! What up, ladies and gentlemen? SHIT. So happy it's Thursday. Woo! All right, ladies and gents, Hernan Cias here, host of the Business Bros podcast, where we're here to empower you to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow. Woo woo! Along with my co-host,
the insurance bro, James Cias from Pipeline Insurance, where we are empowering licensed professionals to effectively add insurance into their existing businesses. And boy, oh boy, are we excited today. As always, we have another fun-filled, ready to go rock and roll episode for you. Today's guest was born and raised in Hawaii and is a small business success story. He is the author of a book called The Aloha Money Machine, 9 Steps for Creating a Business Money-Making Machine. He has also owned and operated 7 different businesses in his lifetime, including manufacturing, service, wholesale, online, import, retail, and real estate businesses. Woo! That's a lot. Since successfully selling his service business and becoming financially free at the young age of 31 years old, he has had a passion to teach others his formula called The Aloha Money Machine. He is also a professional speaker and coach who trains people on the fundamentals of starting and growing a business for profit. From the Growing Your Business to Sell coaching program, please welcome to the show, Coach Corey Murf. Murphy!
woo, woo, woo. Welcome to the show.
Good intro. That was a great intro.
Hey, you wrote it, man. I can't even take credit for it this time.
You're not supposed to tell people that.
Oh man, we got nothing to hide here.
Yeah, we're what's it called when you just an open book, literally what you have in your hand.
The Aloha Money Machine.
Yeah.
9 steps for creating a business money-making machine. Open book.
Yeah.
Speaking of book,
Murf,
man, welcome to the show. First of all, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I watch a lot of your shows, and I just, what I really like about you guys is you're funny, and then you have a lot of passion. And it's just really entertaining to watch. And thank you guys for being a service and really helping the entrepreneurial world. So thank you.
Hey, thanks, man. We love to have fun. Sometimes we think we're laughing at ourselves, but
pretty sure mostly we are.
Mostly we are.
Oh, you know what? I just noticed this, and really quick before we get any further, happy birthday, Joe Carrillo. Man, we love you.
Oh, Pigface Joe, happy birthday. Shout out to Pigface Joe. All right, Murf, I want you to tell me a little bit about, being financially free at 31. First of all, there's a large discrepancy on what financially free actually means. So can you tell me a little bit about, how you define financially free and a little bit how you got there?
Yeah, so financial freedom, a lot of people think it's different meanings. To me, what it means is to have cash flow and the time to enjoy it. That's what financial freedom is. Because let's face it, there's so many business owners that are out there that are making a good amount of money, but they don't have the time to actually enjoy life. They don't have time to enjoy with their kids or their friends or do the things that they love to do. And to me, really, it's about having a balance of freedom to do what you want to do and that cash flow, that consistent cash flow coming in.
Cash flow, dude, cash is king. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. And it's funny because I feel like a lot of people lose track of that. They start off their life just trying to make ends meet. And then they get trapped in that cycle of, get up, go to work, pay your bills, get up, go to work, pay your bills, forgetting that the only reason you're really doing that is because you need to put food on the table, but it doesn't have to be at the mercy of that 9 to 5 clock, right? You can find other ways to do that.
I mean, that's the problem with business is that a lot of people get into business and they think that they're going to create this lifestyle and have this enjoyment and free time. And what they get into is something that locks them down. They don't have the time, they don't have the enjoyment, and they're working more than if they had an employer. And so I really saw a need for people to take business and really think about business differently, thinking about business to build an asset. So the title of the book, I don't know if you can see that right there, but it's basically build a business that can be sold even if you have no intention of selling. So coming with that mind frame from day one is seeing where you want the business to go. That I think is really, really important. That's basically the premise of my book,
Well, let's drill down on that because I too believe that is vitally important. When I first got into the business space, I mean, I've made my fair share of mistakes. I've built businesses before where I am the sole operator. I do everything. I do the bookkeeping. I do the sales. I did, the cleaning, the whatever it was that needed to be done in my business. I did it. The problem with that was when I went on vacation, so did my paycheck. You know what I mean? Like, so I did not want to build a business like that anymore. And can you just elaborate a little more on what you mean? That little subtitle you have on your book, it's small, but it's vitally important.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's face it. If you're the only reason that your business survives, if you're the only reason why you have income, you don't have a business, you have a job.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is the separation between someone that actually has a business, that delegates, has employees, has a system, and someone that just does everything. Because as a business owner, you wear all these hats and it all falls on you. And if you get hurt and you have a job that requires physical, I had a delivery business at one time. And if I got hurt, I didn't work, my paycheck stopped. But the problem is that my bills did not stop. So having that kind of mindset is really important. Just like, for example, if a farmer can see the harvest in their mind, what the harvest will look like before they even plant that first seed. Why can't a business owner see what their business will look like when it's time to exit the business? Why can't they see that? A lot of people fail to see that.
I think a lot of people fail to understand why they get into business. So, we talk a lot about practical, tactical things to do in your business as you have it, how to create more sales, how to generate leads, how to close business, whatever it is, these are the things that are operational day to day. But the why seems to escape us. And when you're talking about the vision of, a farmer being able to see his crop, he knows exactly what he's doing. It's almost easier to see a plain field and what it's going to look like at the end. But for an entrepreneur, nobody's ever out there really telling them what a business is supposed to look like. When they hear, a corporation, for example, they think, a 100-story building with a name on the top, and they have no idea that it's, a corporation is nothing more than a folder and some papers. What you're doing within a business is much different than, the vision of what you want to accomplish. Yeah. So elaborate on that. Like your book says, it's called Aloha, right? Yeah. So Aloha is to me says Hawaii. It says one of the only places I really like to travel. I'm not much of a get out of my house type person, right? I don't travel very much, but Hawaii is one of those places that I would go back over and over again, especially Maui, right? Like that's where I like to go. It's very laid back. It's very chill. Yeah. It's very relaxed.
Yeah, quality of life is good.
Yeah. So why name your book Aloha when it's a book about building business? And right now in the day and age, we hear about building a business is hard work. Get up at 4 a.m., grind it out. Like it's complete opposite of what we're normally listening to.
Yeah. By the way, if your podcast was in Hawaii, it would be Business Brothers. Business Brothers is what it would be. It wouldn't be Business Bros.
Business Brothers.
But I like that. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple different meanings in the book, and I really go over what the meanings are. Aloha, in its definition, means hello and goodbye. And I really think that if you're starting a business, you should know the formula. And the Aloha Money Machine formula, it's a formula. It also means that the Aloha Money Machine was actually a business that my grandfather had. My great-grandfather had a business. He had the largest GM dealership in the world, auto dealership in the world, and it was in Honolulu, Hawaii. And I call that the full money machine, and I talk about that. So there's a couple different meanings. And then the last meaning that I go over in the book, the Aloha part, it really is, the Aloha it's all about, if you really want to get into it, the Aloha part, the true meaning, the definition is not about what you can get, it's about what you can give. And so through my business, I had a business, I started with just myself, I built it through systems, and I sold. And when I sold, I found out there's a lot more things that are important than just the money aspect, which is important, but it shouldn't be everything. And what I found is that I could do a lot of good by helping people and showing people my formula and what I did. And that's another reason why I call it the Aloha Money Machine, because it should be more about what you can give than what you can get. And that changes, the direction of a lot of business owners.
Oh, 100%. We use a saying in our podcast. It's your business's purpose, your purpose in business is to be of service to others, but your business's purpose is to make a profit. And when you're talking about having a business that is in a position to sell, right? That is a little bit different. People often think, I got my mobile car detailing business, right? And I've built a clientele, and we do, we wash, I don't know, 400 cars a month, and it's a great business. I make, $250,000 a year. So if I sell it, I heard that I get a multiplier of like, 1 to 2% or 1 or 2 times my annual salary. So it's probably worth, at least, $500,750,000, something like that. And then you realize that this guy's sole operator and he's busting his butt every single day. And when you have to sit down and explain to him that the business that you have created is not a sellable business, what are the things that, in that kind of scenario, because it's a very common scenario,
Yeah.
why is it that that business is not a good business to sell? He's not going to get his multiple that he's looking for. As a matter of fact, he's probably going to get less than what he collects on an annual basis.
That's such a good question. And that's what a lot of people need to think. And what they really need to think is they need to think, what makes the business sellable? Who would buy that? Would someone that is going to work at the car wash every day, would they really buy that? Would they have the capital to buy something like that? No. They want to buy an asset. An asset is something that's an investment that produces cash flow on a consistent basis. So I guess the best way that I can explain it is tell my story that when I got out of college, well, actually I quit college to start my own business, and I started a furniture delivery business. And it was easy for me because I didn't have any capital. I didn't have any partners. And then I found an opportunity to do furniture refinishing. And so in that process of trying to figure out what would be the best way to do this furniture refinishing, I found that there was 3 elements to grow a business that could be sold. And the first one was that I needed to create a system. I needed to create a system that was efficient for refinishing furniture. And then I needed to provide a system for my assistant in the office, for my employees, the technicians, the people that were actually sanding the furniture. And then so if I was able to provide a system, I could hand that over to somebody and teach them pretty quickly. And if they decided to move on, I still had something that I could teach someone else that came in as an employee. So the first thing that I learned is that you got to develop a system. The second thing is that even though I was a really good furniture refinisher, I can sand really good, I found that my highest and best use of time is that if I actually sold the job. So talking to those homeowners that had furniture, if I was able to use my time in the highest and best use of time to grow the business, then my business would grow. And then what I found out is as my business grew, my responsibilities changed. So instead of talking to a homeowner that had 1 piece of furniture, I could talk to a hotel or a restaurant that had 1 to 200 pieces of furniture. So my time was used better. The third thing that I found was that I needed to develop consistency. So a lot of real estate agents, a lot of consultants, they get the sale, money comes in, but then the rest of the year, they're kind of struggling. They're trying to find that next deal. That consistency is really, really hard. And that's the number 1 failure for business is they don't have consistent cash flow. And so what I found is that if I could find a way to make that consistent cash flow with my business, I could create something that's really sellable. And what I did for my service business was I created a maintenance program. So those people that I refinished the furniture, I offered them a maintenance program to do a couple times a year, and that stabilized my income. When I did that, everything changed. So the 3 takeaways to create a business that can be sold is you got to develop systems where you could give it to somebody to train somebody, that it's consistent throughout the business because our customers want consistency as well. Second thing is you got to figure out where your highest and best use of time is. And when you're growing the business, there's different levels and there's different ways to use your highest and best use. The third thing is you have to find ways to build consistency in your business. If you can have those 3 things, you can create a business that's sellable.
That's awesome. I mean, that story itself, it's from infancy to full-fledged business there. I mean, you were initially sanding stuff, and I kind of want to break down a little more on, what exactly is a system? Because we hear the word all the time, right? And we have an acronym for that, right, James? What's the acronym for systems?
Save yourself time, energy, and money.
So there's acronyms for that, but in a business, like, I want to stay, in other words, I'm a big fan of cliches in movies, and those are all great. But if we don't actually understand what that means, like, what does it mean for our employee if we have a system? What does it mean if that employee leaves? How does the system actually help you in your business?
Yeah, systems are really important. And I think a lot of people overthink it. Basically, you have to break down your day and figure out the different elements of your day. So maybe you do calls during the day, prospecting. So you need to break that down. How does that look? Who do you call? What do you say? Maybe you have some type of script. That can be your system. And then after that, maybe you have online marketing. So what exactly are you trying to get on that online marketing? Are you trying to brand? Are you trying to generate leads? What are you trying to do? Have a system for that all the way through until invoicing to customer follow-up. If you can have that system, and it shouldn't be too complicated, because if it's this crazy complicated document, no one's going to read it.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to look at it. So just have something very simple that you can show to others and see what they think. And then what I would really recommend is, as time goes on, have your employees update it and figure out maybe different ways to streamline this a little bit more efficiently. But the system is such a great tool to teach employees, because business owners have so much trouble with employees. I had so much trouble with employees. I had employees snorting meth in the back of my van,
Ouch.
defecating in the back of my van. And, it was tough. It was super tough because your livelihood is relying on your business. And if people don't respect your business, your employees don't respect your business, it's really, really tough. But having a system helps that streamline. And then customers, if you have something that's consistent, customers will see that and will be like, wow, this is really great. This is a great company, because it's predictable. I mean, McDonald's is so famous and so successful because no matter where you go in the world, it's very similar. The system is very, very similar.
The burgers taste the same.
Same. Yeah. Yeah.
The fries are good. The burger's good. I mean, relatively speaking, I guess, compared to other hamburgers. But you know exactly what you're getting no matter where you go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention, that's our commercial break.
It was super weak because I'm not actually connected.
Oh,
today.
okay.
So it was
That's
just
what
it was like just off the speaker. But anyway, we interrupt today's regularly scheduled #1 podcast in San Diego for a purely selfish, completely irreverent, sellout cash grab word from our sponsor. Hernan, what are we selling today?
I'm actually going to do something I've never done before.
Dun, 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 dun.
Ready?
I'm going to hear it.
Murph, tell me about your book and how can people get a hold of this book?
Oh, I like this one.
Thank you. So the book is online. You can get it on Amazon. It's $20. But today I'm going to give a few copies away randomly. If you want to email me, you can email me at murfspeaks, M-U-R-F, speaks @gmail.com. And randomly, I'm going to give 2 copies of this away. And also, too, if you do have a business, I take business seriously. And if you have a business and you're thinking about growing your business, or you're thinking about selling your business, you want to know what the value is, I'm more than happy to talk. I'm more than happy to do a 30-minute strategy call. So you can email me as well, too, for that. It's murfspeaks@gmail.com. You can also get the book at alohamoneymachine.com, too. You get a little bit more information on this, too.
Boom. There you go.
I found my speaker.
There you go.
And now, back to that #1 podcast in San Diego, the Business Bros Pod.
That was cool, dude. I've never done that before. That was awesome.
That was dope.
awesome.
I like it. Yeah, well done. Well done. I like it.
You know what? Also, too, I wanted to tell you guys that a reason why I like this podcast so much is that you guys are so passionate, and I do a little public speaking, and before I was just like incredibly nervous and incredibly scared of public speaking. And I've been going to Toastmasters for some time. And as I was learning, you know, how to be a good public speaker, one of my mentors says, "Hey, it doesn't matter what you talk about as long as you talk with passion."
Yeah.
You guys are talking with passion, and I think that's why a lot of people like listen to you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, really quick, Monica Thurman Avalos, thank you so much for the comment. She wants to know, what is that email address again where she can get her book?
Yeah, it's Murf, M-U-R-F, speaks@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Or you could go to www.alohamoneymachine.com, and you'll see a contact.
So, Murph, as far as energy, if you go to episode 1 of our podcast, you will see the energy turned way down because, like you know, turning on the mic and speaking is very nerve-wracking. Like, it's not the easiest thing to do. Today, I had a speaking engagement, which I was on stage. And, you know, when I got on stage today, it was super fun. And I was, you know, I didn't have, I wasn't nervous at all. I just pure energy. It was more like, what do I want to say next? What do I want to say next type thing. But it comes with practice. So, you know, being Toastmasters and getting behind a mic, I see that you have a nice mic there. You know, setting yourself up to do a podcast or something on a regular basis, just to practice that craft of you know, public speaking. It takes you. It makes a tremendous difference, I think, just in conversation with people on a day-to-day basis. And much more if you're doing something where you want a little bit of acknowledgement, right? Where you want some reach in your show or in your audience. So kudos to you, man.
Yeah, it's totally a craft. If you want to be good at public speaking, it's a craft, and every audience is a little different. Sometimes you say a joke and people don't laugh. You're like, oh, that worked before. So it's that connection, you know, and it just takes practice. And when I first got into public speaking, I always thought that as soon as I conquer my fears, I'm going to be great. And that's not the case. You got to go through the elements of what a great speech actually, you know, entails.
Yeah. And I'm fascinated by when I do go somewhere and I see a public speaker and you can tell this person's well-versed. They've been doing it for years and years and years. And I'm watching, and now I watch it completely different. Like before, I would get really enticed with the message and the emotion of what's going on the stage. And I still do, but now I'm looking at, what's he doing with his feet? What's he doing with his hands? You know, where's the pitch elevation in certain, you know, in certain sentences, or when he pauses, how long is he pausing for? You know, like other things that you start to, you know, as you progress in this public speaking craft, you want to make sure that what you're saying not only comes out, you know, with energy, but also emphasizing whatever point it is that you want to make.
You're also the person, Hernan, who watched Oprah to figure out how to interview people. You watched hours of Oprah to become an expert in this craft. So,
and that's perfect to what you're doing, Murph. I mean, it's all about coaching, right? I mean, it's about finding out people who do what it is that you want to do, that do it really, really well. Oprah, in my opinion, was one of the best, is the best person that does interviews, right? Joe Rogan's another one. So, you know, now I sit back and I'll listen to a Joe Rogan episode and I'm like, well, that was okay. Right. And I'm thinking, well, what made Joe Rogan awesome? It was consistent, man. He continues to do it. The guy's smart because of everybody that he has on his show, like you. When you're sharing information about what it is, you know, to grow a business, I learn and I get smarter because I meet people like you.
Definitely.
So tell me a little bit about the coaching program that you offer. How do you spread this knowledge with people? How does that kind of work?
So I have a mentor. I have a coach too. I think everybody should have some type of coach. But it really boils down to where you want to be. If you can find somebody that has gone that course that you want to go, you know, if you want to grow a business, find somebody who has actually grown a business. They don't talk about it. They actually have grown a business. Find somebody that has done it and then learn how they did it. If someone can do it, you can do it if you follow the path that someone has already done. So I think that's the big element to finding, you know, the right coach and to finding somebody that's going to, you know, kind of weather the storm, because, you know, we all have flaws, and finding somebody that's going to point those flaws out is really important, because your growth and your success of your business and success of your relationships or your life can be spotted by others who know what to look for. So Those are the important elements. I really believe that everyone can be successful in business if they know what to look for and they know the next step. I think a lot of people that own a business, they don't know the next step. What's the next step?
Mm-hmm.
And they think it all revolves around money, which is very important. Money is, you got to have money to be successful in business, but there's a next step. And if you don't know the next step, you're going to struggle and you're going to probably take the long way around.
You know, it's funny. Asking for help is one of the toughest things that a human does. Males more than females, but still, asking for help. You know, you're effectively putting yourself in a vulnerable state where you're saying to somebody, "I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing at this point. Help me." Right? People don't want to be that, you know, that docile creature that needs help. They want to be seen as that, you know, that lion, that ferocious lion that knows everything and is conquering everything. But the truth of the matter is, like you said earlier, everybody needs a coach. There are people who have done great things in similar industries, and they are oftentimes very willing to share their experiences and knowledge with you if you're willing to A, be coachable, and B, ask. Nobody knows if you need help unless you ask for it.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big factor for a lot of people. You know, they will stick themselves in a corner and, you know, dwell on this scenario of, you know, I think I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. But they're stuck there. There's like a paralysis of analysis. And a month goes by, 2 months go by, and things get worse. And all you had to do is reach out and ask.
Yeah. 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 And that's really sets people apart. I talk about in the book, I talk about my rich grandfather, I call him, and he's the guy that had the largest GM dealership, GM dealership in the world. And he had 75, maybe more businesses, and he was very, very successful. He grew, I mean, basically he was poor, and then he grew his business and he became really successful. He became wildly successful. He had the first, he was doing business in Asia when no one else was doing business in Asia. Now it's like common, but before it wasn't. He had a Learjet. I mean, he was next level. But the problem with him, and I don't want to give you the spoiler alert in the book, but basically the book follows the outline that, you know, a lot of people, if they start off poor, they die poor. Mm-hmm. And the reason why the poor remain poor is because they don't share their information. They don't give back. And that's a big problem. Rich become even richer because they share their knowledge. They share their knowledge of how to protect their money, how to grow their money, you know, the legacy of their businesses. My grandfather was very guarded. He came from a place of scarcity. So there's only so much. There's only so much money for him. And he wasn't willing to give back. And I learned his stories from my family, and from what I read in Forbes magazine. And he was Hawaii Businessman of the Year in 1965. There's a lot of information that I could grab. But as far as who he was, he didn't share his information, and he died a lonely man. And there was no inheritance, and there was no family business. And that knowledge, you know, that knowledge of what it takes to get from, you know, ground level to in the sky. I mean, that's the real gift. And so I worked hard to find that. I worked really hard, trial and error, and then learning what works, what doesn't work. And then I put the formula in this book. But that really makes the difference. It's the people who are giving back. Those are the people that will continue to leave a legacy and continue to grow as much as they can on this earth, I think.
So you're a young man, like financially secure. That's a great goal to have, and then to reach at a young age. You have a book. What does the future look like for somebody who's reached what a lot of people strive to reach their whole lives?
I mean, I enjoy helping people. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy cash flow. So finding businesses that cash flow, and then real estate. I'm a big fan of real estate. Real estate is such a great tool for a lot of people. So finding cash flow ways to make money with your money, I think is very important. And I love that. I love that aspect. But I also too, I love helping people. And if I could share a little bit of wisdom and help people, you know, provide for their family, then I feel really good about myself. So that's basically the next step. And what I'm going to do with this book is do small scale seminars, teach what's in this book, and then also to do public speaking and coaching. That's the next step for this book, and then maybe there's a sequel.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, it's always to me one of my own personal goals, and it took a long time for me to even admit it was fame and fortune, right? Because it sounds so corny when you say it, right? Oh, I want to be rich and famous, and everybody's like, yeah, so do I. Everybody does, but like it's never left me. You know, it's something that's been a part of me. And as I grew up, I was able to more finely define what that looks like. And when I talk about fame and fortune, now I'm starting to realize it's not really a dollar amount, right? It's more like if I died, will there be 10,000 people at my funeral, or will it be like a few people? You know, like just the immediate family. And if for me that fame and fortune means I have touched and helped enough people achieve their dreams,
Yeah.
that I'm in their hearts and in their minds because of what I've done to help them.
Yeah.
That's, that's a different kind of fame and fortune, but that's exactly what we're striving for.
Yeah. Then it comes down to the cash flow again. I mean, excuse me, the financial freedom. Some people think it's a dollar amount. It's if I had 20 million in the bank, financial freedom. No, it comes down to cash flow and time to enjoy it. So for me, I really like helping people. Is it the best way to make money? I don't know. We'll see. But right now it's not. But I really enjoy helping people. I really do. And so if I could develop ways to stabilize my income, and then in my free time help out people, that's really great. That would be something that is worth, leaving a legacy. And if you can leave this earth a little bit better than you found it, I think that's a job well done.
Damn right it is. I agree with you on that one. All right, we're going to do the last little segment we call Ask the Bros. So think of something that you would like to ask us, personal or business. Either way, I know you can't see James, but you're free to ask him too.
So a lot of people always ask, how do you have time? To me, they say, well, how do you have time to write a book and have a business and, have a family? I want to ask you guys, how do you have time to do this podcast? I know it takes a lot of work and a lot of energy. So how do you develop your day, and how do you plan for this?
Yeah. So for James, it's a little bit different. For me, I'm a big proponent of when you believe in something, you're going to make it happen. Like when you decide this is what you want to do, you're going to make it happen. And I like to use an example, something as simple as you start The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, right? When you decide that that's the show you're going to watch, for some reason, you find the time to sit down on the couch and watch episode after episode. You may not have had the time, but you made that opportunity happen for yourself. You found a way to sit your butt on the couch and watch that stuff. And for me, it's the same thing for anything else. I decided I was getting too round, too much of a double chin, and I needed to get back in the gym. So I turned the switch on. That's it. Now I'm going to the gym, and I made the time happen. Now I get up at 4:20 in the morning. That's when I head out to the gym. We decided we're going to do this podcast thing. I told James we're going to do it every single day. He looked at me like I was crazy. I told him we're going to do it for 3 years. He looked at me like he was about to hit me. but what we've done is we've effectively said, this is the time that we do this, and everything else becomes second. I was at a speaking event today. I was moderating a panel of top producing real estate agents, and they were having a conversation about balance. And I ran out of time, but I wanted to say my piece about balance. And for me, that balance doesn't really exist. It's like the word fair. Fair doesn't exist. Fair to me is a victim word. Fair is a word. If you have a victim mentality, then you're going to use the word fair. Balance is nothing more than you've decided that one thing is more important than the other. So during this podcast time, the most important thing is the guest who's on here, right? Is the audience that we're listening to. That's the most important time for this hour while we're talking to, the audience or the guest. And it's not family time, and it's not, wife time, and it's not the, dog or whatever it is. You're in this moment. But when it's over, then it becomes, now it's dinner time, now it's family time. Be in that moment. You know what I mean? Like that's where you just decide. Like at that point, we have a rule in our house where you can't have any electronics at the table. So when you're at the table eating dinner, you're at the table eating dinner with your family, and that's it. That's that time. But there's no such thing as balance. You've just in your mind decided this is the one thing that I'm doing at this particular time. And if you plant that seed and you decide these are the times, those are the things that are going to get done in your day. So that's my idea of what it is.
We'll argue about whether or not there's such a thing as balance later.
Yeah, we always argue
because we always argue about such things. But for me, I mean, you're absolutely right. It really is a commitment. I live and die by my calendar. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. And 3:30, everybody in the office knows I leave the office at 3:30 so I can get here by 4 o'clock for the podcast. It's just become part of the daily routine. And the funny thing is, I mean, like Hernan alluded, when we first started out, I wasn't really thrilled about doing this. I had to, down some beers before I even got into it at all, which is where the business bros actually came from. But now it's something that I look forward to every day. It's a fun part of the day. It's a really actually great way to like end my day, because every time I come on the show, it's like a burst of energy that, maybe I didn't have, towards the end of my day at the office. I get back in here, I get to meet somebody new, I get to learn about their story, and then I got to come on the show and just be boom.
Yeah.
Up there. So
I'll throw one more out there. When we tell people we do a daily podcast, they always say the same thing. They say some variation of, you guys are crazy, you guys are insane. I'm like, absolutely. That's why we're committed.
That's it. Yeah. It comes right down to that commitment.
That's it.
Yeah. Well done. And really,
thanks.
Good job. And you guys are such an inspiration to a lot of people. I know that. And so, and that consistency too is really important because people look forward to it.
Yeah, it's the key to success. I promise you is consistency. Showing up, like you win. Just show up. I promise you, it's not easy. Some days are harder than others, but you show up every day, you're gonna win. That's the biggest difference. Hit your 10,000 hours. I don't care how you do it, but hit your 10,000 hours as fast as possible.
Yeah.
All right, Murf. Tell me one more time. How do I get a hold of you? How do I get a copy of this book?
So you can go on Amazon and you can go Aloha Money Machine. If you want to randomly be selected for a free copy, you can email me at murfspeaks.com, or you can go on www.Aloha Money Machine and email me there, learn a little bit more. If I can leave you just with one story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay.
It's our show. We can extend it as long as we want.
Okay. So a lot of people ask me, how do you win in business? And there's this one story that I tell people, and it's funny. It's the same way you win with a shark attack. So it's the same elements, apply. I was talking to a buddy that he surfs, and this is on the Big Island, and him and his girlfriend were surfing. They were out at the lineup. They were waiting for a wave, and his girlfriend was a little bit further away from him. And all of a sudden, this huge explosion of whitewater surrounds his girlfriend. She starts screaming, and then she dips under the water for a little bit. He paddles over to her on his surfboard and noticed that there is, in fact, a shark circling around her, and the shark just bit her. We found out that it's a tiger shark, so pretty big. Tiger sharks like to bite before they, investigate. So the shark's circling around, and he noticed that the shark's going to come in for another bite. And so what he does is in preparation, he dives under the water, sees the shark, and then hits the shark. Hits the shark as hard as he can, and then comes up. The shark kind of disappears for a second and then circles back and is coming back again. He does the same thing, and he's hitting and kicking as hard as he can for that shark. The shark actually, at that time, it goes away and they don't see the shark. So they go to the shore. His girlfriend is pretty beat up and requires a lot of stitches, but she survived. And, when he was telling me this story, I asked him, I said, I surf, and how do I avoid this? I don't want to encounter anything like this. And he said that people tell him, if you think about shark attacks, you think about the water's very dirty and not clear, and that's when the sharks come out. Or it's at night, that's when the sharks come out. Or it's by a stream, that's where the sharks are. And none of that was there. So it was a beautiful day. It was in the middle of the day. Water was clear. He says that if a shark really wants to attack you, there's nothing you can do. It's going to attack you. But the one thing that you can do which is very similar to business, is that you can fight. And that's the one thing that you can do to survive. And if you fight, you possibly survive. Not 100%, but your likelihood of surviving goes way up. And that's the same with business, is that if you really want to build a business and you really want to grow a business into something that becomes an asset, is you got to fight. You got to wake up. You got to really delegate. You need to follow the plan like you guys do, where you have a plan, you have a schedule, and you commit to that. And if you do, you will succeed. So I just wanted to leave you with that.
It's a great story. It gave me chills and everything. I love that analogy. It's perfect. Fight. Just
gotta fight.
You in business, there is no guarantee that you're gonna win, right? Like the shark attack, there's no guarantee that it's gonna go away. But if you don't fight, you lose.
Yeah.
Right. At least this way you're going down like swinging. And that's the biggest thing in business is go down swinging. Give it everything you got. You don't want to end the day with regret. Like, I wish I woulda, shoulda, coulda. That's the worst thing you can have.
Yeah. Because you got to go into business with your eyes wide open. It's tough. Business is tough. And you need to understand that from the get-go. Anybody that's going to open up a business, they need to know that business is tough, that cold calling is tough, door knocking is tough. But if you want to build something that is, an asset and valuable, you got to do that tough stuff.
100%.
You got to fight.
100%. Murf, thanks for being on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I got your copies too. So I'm going to send you guys a couple copies.
Sweet. That's going to go on our shelf, ladies and gents. All right, that's all we got for you guys today. Enjoy your Thursday. We won't have a broadcast live tomorrow. Maybe not. We always kind of play it by ear. Technically I have it closed because it's Valentine's Day, but we'll see what happens. If James shows up, we might jump on the live. We'll see. All right. That's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And we're out.
Nice.
Thanks, Murph. That was a lot of fun.